So all that being said, we're going to kind of move on to another part of this discussion. And that is something that's pointed out by David Wolfe. And when he was talking about, well, I don't want to do this raw meat, it's dangerous. I've known 1 or 2 people died. Actually, I have 2. When in the 1990s, somewhere, 98, 97, some people at Pangaea in the Big Island, they got a live fish and bit into it. Now they broke something. See, they got karma right back. And what it is in the 7 Noahide principles from the time of Noah, you're not supposed to bite into a limb of a living being. So instant karma. 1 or 2 of those people died. I can't remember that. And another person went to the hospital with severe hepatitis. It's dangerous. You bite into live fish, you're going to get, all kinds of these worms and tapeworms and so many different things. It's just like, this is a problem. So David Wolfe points this out. And obviously, raw meat of any sort is going to have the same thing with the prions and all that. So he's a nice Jewish boy. And most people don't realize that David Wolfe is Jewish, and even though he doesn't practice, but he's coming on a deep principle, a deep Torah principle, which is in his genes. What is that? Pikuach nefesh. Don't do anything to harm the body. Preserve the health of the body. That's one. Don't do anything that's dangerous to the body. And third, don't do anything you think may be dangerous. Very clear Torah things. And so it's a bigger perspective. So where does that take us? And I want to do this in respect that the research is not as clear as I would like it to be. But generally speaking, for the general public, and I'll make a caveat, people who eat meat generally have 2 to 4 times more diabetes, generally have 2 to 4 times more cancer of all sorts, generally have about 26% high blood pressure versus 2% of vegans. Generally have 4 times more osteoporosis for a variety of reasons. And the list goes on and on and on. But I don't want to make that point so strong because the caveat to that is that at the turn of the century, only 1 to 2% of people had cancer, not 33% like we have today, and it's more complicated. And we'll explain that. Because when they've done, there was one study, only one study done at Harvard that showed really if you eat the highest quality meat and more organically and grass-fed meat and you're going to have a lot less of this. So I have to be honest in the assessment that commercial meat, which is what most of the world's having, and I want to put that into the China study. That's a weakness in the China study. I mean, when we were in Hong Kong, God, I couldn't even look at what they were putting out in the market as it's rotting and smelling like, get me out of here, because sometimes we had to walk through the markets. It's hard to explain the whole thing. But nevertheless, my point is, I think there's a bit of room, and the weakness in the China study is that people are eating really rotten smelling meat, and so yeah, they have higher rates of cancer and chronic diseases, but is it from meat, or is it from that? Or is it the fact that it's not high quality meat? So that's a little caveat, but in general, I think it's pretty hard to ignore, the fact that meat eaters will have more of these things. How much more, that's the part I can't say. Is it 2 times more, 4 times more, 50% more? That I can't say, but I know it's more. So in terms of pikuach nefesh, and don't take risk and so forth, we have to go with that you're taking a risk eating meat. Now we do know there's 25% more ptomaine poisoning. You're going to eat meat, you're in fish and chicken, you're more likely to get salmonella and things like that. You're just more likely to get it, 25% more. That's a statistic. We can't argue with that. The other consideration in the picture is we know there's more environmental pollution, and we know that animals higher up in the food chain will concentrate that pollution. It is a fact that depleted uranium is 15 times higher in milk. It is a fact that in when Chernobyl went off in 1986, there was a 900% increase in perinatal mortality. That's a fact. How did that happen? Because I-131 went across the stratosphere, landed in the grass. The cows in the Boston area, the cows ate the grass, and the women who drank the milk to help their kids, all were affected by radiation, iodine radiation. So what we're saying is, I don't care how organic your cow is, or your chicken, or your goat, whatever, you are exposed to higher things. And there is no pure fish out there. I mean, one of the things that shocked me, one of the meat-eater positions, which is truly shocking, was, mercury's not a problem. Oh, are you kidding me? Say, I lived about 2 blocks from Lake Michigan, and there was research done. It showed that mothers had 1 helping of fish. And now this is probably in the 80s, something like that. 1 helping of fish. Their kids had worse APGAR scores, neurological scores, at birth, and had lower SAT scores 17 years later. Absolutely, the toxins in the fish and the toxins in your animals in your chickens are going to affect your development. And now we got the depleted uranium and also other kinds of radiation that goes on, and the I-131, and there's been at least 4 Chernobyls in addition that haven't been reported. So let's not kid ourselves. We also know that pesticides, herbicides are much higher concentration. We know that breastfeeding vegan mothers have 1% the pesticides and herbicides as the meat-eating breastfeeding mothers. So clearly it's dangerous. I don't want to kind of go into it. Now I want to just talk about milk for a second. Milk and meat, is that the discussion of mad cow disease didn't really come up in this. But what we know, and this is, if people are afraid that I'm going to get Alzheimer's if I'm a vegan, okay? Let's turn it around. They did autopsies, 2 different autopsy studies. One was 3%, one was 11%, 13% of the people who had Alzheimer's actually had mad cow disease. So you are taking what does that tell you? Well, the Friends of the Earth who kind of did cited the research, it tells you that we have at least 120,000 people with mad cow disease. Get it? And that mad cow disease is also showing up in the deer and in the fish. And that's a fact, okay? So you're going to eat those things, whether it's in the wild or not, and you're going to expose yourself to mad cow disease. I consider that a risk. I consider it's a risk I don't want to take. I live by the Torah. I'm not going to take that risk, okay? Now, dairy has, a lot of problems. First, in 1984, you had the bubonic plague related to raw dairy. Now, I will say that raw dairy is going to have more energy than pasteurized dairy. But that's only part of the story. Everybody gives a part. The other part of the story is bovine leukemic virus, which is in 80% of the American crops. I'm going to crop, but it's the wrong word, but it's cows, which is a crop in the dehumanized way to approach it, really is a problem. And they did a study with chimpanzees, and they fed them milk from leukemic cows, and 100% of them got leukemia in a year. Now, let's go into that statement and how it affects humans. So what we know is, throughout the world, people who drink milk have 3 times more leukemia and lymphoma. That's just a fact. You can't talk your way out of it. It's a fact. Studies, 11.5-year-long studies with 400 people, with 11,000 people, they all show the same thing. If you're going to drink milk, you're taking your risk of getting leukemia, you're upping by 3. That's just what it is, leukemia and lymphoma. If you're going to drink milk, you're upping your risk of cancer of the lungs, doubling. If you're going to drink milk, 1 to 3 glasses a day, major study done at Harvard with many, many people, you're upping your chances of ovarian cancer 2 to 3 times. high risk. Now, I'm not just talking about bubonic plague now. I'm talking about cancer. I'm talking about lymphatic congestion. I'm talking about 50 million people who are lactose intolerant. It really doesn't work very well. It has high risk. I'm talking about salmonella. I'm talking about a variety of things. Paratuberculosis is a problem. And I'm going to tell you, eggs, also a problem. Because people complain, oh, you said okay to have eggs. I didn't say it was okay to have eggs. I said science will tell you that eggs are a very good protein. I didn't say eat them. Because I'm not going to deny science. I'm not going to, because I have a position, I'm not going to deny scientific reality. It's 40% assimilated protein. Spirulina is 40%. I don't need to eat eggs to get the high quality protein. And the Rous virus, Dr. Rous, Nobel Prize winner, which causes cancer, is in eggs. And Virginia Livingston points out also that eggs, after a year, almost all chickens can have cancer going, and their eggs, are going to promote cancer. So I'm not going to, talk about it. And then I'm not talking now the ethical and spiritual moral issues. I'm just talking the science issues. Because I just want to say, so it's risky, particularly raw meat, raw eggs, whatever. It's going to be more risky.